Since my colleagues came in here and politicized this event today, I want to ask the chairman. Chairman, did you forget to invite the Democrats to this event today?
I did not, no, sir.
That's interesting, because as I look down, I see a bunch of empty seats. And for those that came in here and talked today, you'll note that they asked you very few questions about cybersecurity, how to prevent and stop it. They spent most of their time talking about a signal chat. And after their comments, I hope you all noticed that they got up and left. They didn't really care what you had to say. Did you guys notice that? Okay, good. I'm glad you did. Now, back to the hearing. Because a lot of us are laymen on this topic, a lot of us wonder, how hard is it once you identify a cyber threat that has embedded itself within your infrastructure or systems to either block them, kick them out, et cetera? Dr. Amoroso?
Yeah, I can, someone that Matt Blaze and I remember, Ken Thompson, wrote a paper in 1983 where he taught all of us basically how you do what you just said and make it essentially disappear. Like, it's not completely gone, but it's mostly gone. And we all kind of freaked out at the time, and here we are 40 years later, and we're talking about it. But you should kind of accept that if somebody's really good at dropping malware into your infrastructure, you're probably not going to find it.
Really?
Yeah.
Well, do you think AI will really help us with that?
I think you have to change the game. It'd be like, it's a terrible analogy, and I apologize, but if I could drive a truck bomb into your home and blow the whole place up, how do you stop that? You don't put a fence. What you do is you break your home up into a lot of different pieces. Suppose your home was 1,000 concrete blocks. What do you blow up? And you'd say, well, I can't live in a house like that, and that's true, but computing works that way. We call it virtualization and cloud and so on. So we have to change the game, not sort of solve that older problem, because you're not going to solve that problem.
We've spent a lot of time talking about the CCP in China today because they do have a very robust cybersecurity offensive capability. But obviously, there's other countries out there as well that are hacking into U.S. infrastructure, like Iran, North Korea, Russia, et cetera. When you guys look at the amount of resources that those countries throw into cyber attacking, and then you look at what we're spending on that as well, how does that measure out, Mr. Steinman?
I think it's a great question, Congressman, and it's one that I would encourage a significant amount of attention from the committee on, which is, what are we paying for? Billions of dollars have flowed to the various cyber elements of the Department of Defense and elsewhere, and what is that producing? I will say it does produce a lot of good people that are very talented, but when we think about capability, I just think there's probably a lot of room for investigation there and thinking about how can we use those dollars effectively and efficiently. I would also just like to touch on something that you seem to raise, which is that, and the panelists have raised, which is that we have lots of attackers coming at our critical infrastructure. And what I would say is, by taking a more aggressive posture to go back at those attackers, we throw sand in their gears. We force them to spend time and effort to defend against our counterattacks. And those could be ones that are managed at the national level, or they could be the prickly landing point inside the company that those cyber actors are going after. And so I would just offer that there is a lot of opportunity to interrupt and delay and deny and obfuscate when we think about offense.
I want to talk real quick, Dr. Amoroso. I know you come from the corporate world, the private sector. When you look at the amount of resources that the corporate and private sector is throwing at countering cybersecurity attacks as opposed to the federal government, can you give us some sort of comparison and understanding the differences between what the corporate and private America is doing and what the federal government is doing?
There's a difference between size and quality, right? I mean, you can throw a bunch of resources. If you're doing it wrong, then you could double that and it won't make any difference. So I think both in corporate and in government, we need to improve both, need to optimize. Like in some cases, we don't spend enough time. Think cryptocurrency. That's a place where we should be spending more time. Like North Korea, I think they like fund the whole country by stealing cryptocurrency. So there's an area where we've done a very poor job globally protecting ourselves. But in other areas we referenced earlier, like compliance, I mean, we have so many resources chasing framework after framework after framework that when you count those resources to your question, you could double it, it would have no impact. So we have to rethink the size and quality. It's an optimization question as opposed to, do we have enough? Does that make sense?
Yeah. Thank you, guys. I yield back.